Good evening, this is BBC Newsline. The headlines this evening. A man killed in a stabbing on the outskirts of West Belfast is named locally as Shane Lowry. It's understood his brother has been arrested.
A bathing ban on Benone Strand as blue-green algae is confirmed. It's understood to be the first algae-related bathing ban on the North Coast since 2023.
A bedbug infestation at a Belfast city centre hostel has lasted for months. One resident says the bites have made him ill.
It's getting bites over my arms, my legs, all over my torso. I couldn't understand where it was coming from.
Northern Ireland is to get its first Irish language and Ulster Scots commissioners, and these are the two men being lined up for the jobs.
Budding rappers get a big opportunity to learn from one of the hottest talents around.
The waiting is almost over. The Rugby World Cup begins tonight. Ireland start their campaign on Sunday. We'll have the latest.
And after another dry day, find out how the bank holiday weekend is shaping up. Will it stay dry? And will there be any sunshine?
Hello, it's Friday the 22nd of August. I'm Chris Bucklow. Welcome to the programme. Police are questioning a man on suspicion of murder after a fatal stabbing on the outskirts of West Belfast. Shane Lowry, who was in his 30s, died after he was attacked in Twinbrook as children were playing in the street. It's understood the man being held is Mr Lowry's brother. Catherine Morrison reports.
Searching for evidence after a murder in a residential street on a summer's evening. The victim, Shane Lowry, was in his 30s and was from the Twinbrook area. The police are continuing to investigate what happened here yesterday evening, but it's understood an altercation broke out which then spilled out onto the busy street. One man was stabbed, and despite the efforts of the emergency services, the police confirmed he died of his injuries. The incident unfolded in front of people out walking and children playing on their bikes and scooters. There were chaotic scenes as police and paramedics arrived into the estate. You were at home last night? This mum of two who lives nearby didn't want to appear on camera, but she said her young children saw the aftermath of the incident.
The children were playing and they came running in. So she screamed and I ran out to get her and there was police everywhere. So they didn't see it actually happen, but they witnessed the aftermath of it. It was just covered in police everywhere. It's not fair on the kids. And then that poor family and I have lost somebody.
The police are investigating a possible link with a fire at a block of flats nearby. Significant damage was caused to the building, but there were no injuries reported. The Twinbrook community has been left reeling at these events.
It was already chaotic because of the incident that was happening at Tap Road. There was a lot of emergency services on scene dealing with the fire. There was ambulance, there was police, of course the fire brigade, and then with it being a nice night as well, there was a lot of people out walking. It was a very busy evening and there was a lot of children about as well, so very traumatic and heartbreaking. So the community is filled with sorrow today.
Forensic officers continue to search the area and a police cordon remains in place. A man in his 30s, understood to be a brother of the victim, has been arrested on suspicion of murder. The police have said they're not looking for anyone else in connection with their investigation. Catherine Morrison, BBC Newsline, Twinbrook.
A young girl is critically ill in hospital after being knocked down by a car in Carrickfergus. The accident happened on the Lauren Road shortly before 9 o'clock last night. The police want to hear from witnesses. Now, it's a bank holiday weekend, but the warning signs are up and a bathing ban is in place at one of the North Coast's most popular beaches because of the presence of blue-green algae. High levels of the potentially toxic bacteria have been found at Benone Strand, although the Department of the Environment has been very keen to stress that other beaches nearby aren't affected. Our correspondent Louise Cullen is there tonight for us. And Louise, it is another evening when we're talking about blue-green algae.
Absolutely, Chris. It's been several weeks now of talking about it, but as you can see behind me here, the beach is still open. The ban only applies to the water. There are copious signs here coming onto the beach. There was a red flag and announcements from the RNLI lifeguard station while they were on duty. Some of those, it has to be said, have been ignored by some adults who've gone on into the water, but children and dogs seem to have been largely kept away from the water's edge. And that's where this algae can cause a potential risk. It doesn't survive in salt water when it arrives here from the bar mouth, where it flows along the lower ban from Lough Neagh, but it can pose that risk when it washes up along the water's edge. There is another ban in force at Rays Wood in County Antrim, but I understand this is the first algae-related North Coast ban since 2023. As you say, it is a bank holiday weekend. There is good weather forecast, and despite that, though, the Minister says this ban has been a tough and necessary decision.
It's really sad that this is occurring, particularly on a bank holiday weekend. There's going to be despair and concern, and I totally get that. And that's why I'm determined, as Minister, to turn this situation around. There's a number of key decisions coming up, and it's really important that people back me. Remember this moment and the months ahead when those decisions have to be taken, because this can't be occurring every year.
Now, it's not a surprise that the algae has arrived here on the north coast. As I say, things travel from Lough Neagh along the lower ban, and it depends then when they reach the bar mouth where they end up. That's because of wind and tides and so on. Given the situation in the loch and the southerly winds forecast, people are advised to keep an eye for any further advisories over the course of the weekend. But as I say, it's important to remember the ban only applies to the water. You can still enjoy this beautiful sand.
Louise, thank you very much indeed. Now, a homeless hostel in Belfast city centre has been infested with these bed bugs. In real life, they're only about 5 millimetres in size, but they're causing all sorts of problems at Centenary House in Belfast. One resident says he's been made ill because of the amount of bites that he's suffered. And the Salvation Army, which runs the shelter, says it's stopped taking any more residents until the bed bugs are gone. Here's Julie McCulloch.
It's meant to be a place of refuge for those who don't have a place to call home. But one resident of Centenary House, who wanted to remain anonymous, told us the bed bug infestation, first discovered in June, is making living there unbearable. We have revoiced his words.
It's getting bites over my arms, my legs, all over my torso. I couldn't understand where it was coming from. I woke up one morning and there was one on my shoulder.
Centenary House, which is run by the Salvation Army, gets nearly £1 million in funding from the Northern Ireland Housing Executive every year to help people in need. The charity charges a service fee of £33 a week.
I'm only receiving universal credit. It's money most people can't afford to pay. Personally, I really struggle to pay mine. I only receive £300 a month. Every day, I'm wondering if my bed is available. Things have had to be thrown out because the infestation got that bad.
The Salvation Army confirmed that as soon as the bed bugs were reported in June, they took immediate action to fumigate. This week, the charity confirmed they are still dealing with an infestation and that the residents were their main priority, and accepted that the measures to properly eradicate the pests have been disruptive. Another resident, who also wanted to remain anonymous, gave us his thoughts.
Shouldn't be living like that, and no place should be living like that. Like anywhere, we'll have all that cleaned out.
The Northern Ireland Housing Executive, which refers people to Centenary House, said that it was aware of the issue with pests and that it would not be allocating applicants to such rooms until they were advised they are available again.
The providers are under immense pressure. We're in a massive crisis at the minute. Every single day people presenting in Belfast could be sent to Derry, could be sent to Portrush, could be sent right across Northern Ireland, but I think there needs to be more work from the Housing Executive to ensure that people are provided with a suitable, safe accommodation.
The Salvation Army says they are continuing to fumigate the affected rooms and removing built-in furniture to eradicate the pests. Julie McCulloch, BBC Newsline.
Now, 5 years after the posts were first proposed, Stormont looks set to appoint its first Irish language and Ulster Scots commissioners. And these are the two men who have been offered the jobs. Paul Deeds, who's currently the Deputy Chief Executive of the cross-border body Furras na Gaeilge, is, according to sources, the preferred candidate for the Irish language post. And former DUP councillor Lee Reynolds is in line to become the commissioner responsible for the Ulster Scots and Ulster British tradition. Let's get more on this with our political editor, Enda McClafferty. And Enda, it's been quite a journey even to get to this point.
That's for sure, Chris. It was back in 2020 as part of the New Decade, New Approach deal to restore the executive that it was agreed that Northern Ireland needed an Irish Language Commissioner and an Ulster Scots Commissioner. Little did we know back then, Chris, we'd have to wait 5 years to get these respective posts filled. Well, now we know after a selection process we have two men in their frame, so to speak, two men being offered the jobs. They are, as you say, Paul Deeds, who's the second in command in the Irish Language Cross-Border Group Force na Gaeilge, and a man who's coming with a bit of a political pedigree. That's Lee Reynolds, a former DUP councillor in Belfast and a former advisor as well to Arlene Foster. Now, both men weren't up for talking today. They said the process has yet to be completed. They haven't formally accepted the jobs. We do expect them to do that, though, and once that happens, it'll be over to the First and Deputy First Ministers to confirm their appointments, likely early next month.
And there are a few political questions, and not least exactly what powers they're going to have.
That is the case, Chris, and that remains to be seen, because we do know on the surface these two commissioners are going to be the champions for Irish language and Ulster Scots. They're going to be able to advise government departments and also public bodies on how best to promote Irish and Ulster Scots. Crucially, they're also going to be able to investigate complaints where public bodies maybe do not come up to the mark in terms of the expectation. But I think what's interesting, Chris, in the legislation, there is a line in there which says that the First and Deputy First Ministers can jointly direct the commissioners in the exercise of their functions. We're not quite sure what that means. Will they be operating in some kind of political straitjacket? Will they be subject to political intervention from time to time? Will vetoes be deployed, Chris? We'll have to wait and see, and I think it'll be months before we really see what powers these two commissioners have.
Yeah, sounds like there are plenty of questions. Enda, thank you very much indeed. Now, budding rappers from across the Northwest say they've been given the opportunity of a lifetime by learning from one of the hottest talents around. This is Dublin musician CeeLo. He has spent several days coaching the teenagers as part of the Rio Ferdinand Foundation's outreach programme. And our Northwest reporter, Kieran Turish, has been to see those skills in action.
He's one of the top talents in the rap scene in Ireland, and CeeLo certainly knows how to work a crowd. He was giving a concert at the Nerve Centre in Derry as part of this project, working with a group of aspiring rap artists and musicians.
When I got on stage, I already knew.
The group spent time discussing musical ideas and developing an original song with CeeLo. He himself started from humble beginnings in Dublin.
People just knew me as the guy that freestyled during lunch break. So kids would come up to me, like 4 kids, 5 kids. Oh, can you freestyle for us, CeeLo? I was like, okay, whatever, the freestyle. And then they'll hang around for that 10 minutes, and they'll bring like 10 more people. And then before you know, like 100 kids will be on the yard. I'll be freestyling to like 100 people. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it was always like a way to like express myself. Got love for the boys in the seaside, cause the seaside got love for me.
In the recording studio, the teenagers were able to pick up performance tips and learn about other aspects of the music industry.
I got a lot of information. CeeLo, whenever he was teaching the course, he gave a lot of valuable information about how music is made, how you can, I guess, market yourself in the music world.
It's not only the music that can take you to the place that you want to be, like globally. There's all these other factors included, such as personality, uniqueness, branding, and all that.
So the young people involved are coming from backgrounds that, as I say, are marginalised, or they're coming from communities that are of high deprivation. CeeLo comes from Clondalkin in Dublin. He is like these children, and he built his way up, and he's just showing them that they can do it too.
The young people involved in this project say they have now been given a valuable insight into the industry. So much so, some of them are now actively considering a career in music. Kieran Turish, BBC Newsline, Derry.
The CeeLo fans certainly happy. Ulster Rugby fans, on the other hand, they haven't had much to smile about recently. But today, they did get the chance to meet the players as they prepare for the new season. Ulster finished third from bottom last season. But as Mark Simpson reports from Coleraine, better times may indeed lie ahead.
Aiming for success again. These rugby fans in Coleraine got the lowdown on the new-look Ulster squad. So how high are their expectations?
Wasn't the best last season, but I think they can really use that to build.
I think they'll get better. So I've got high hopes. They'll be better.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
You know, I think we're going to show up and support them anyway, regardless of how
they perform as we always have.
Absolutely, we'll be there right to the bitter end. Whatever happens, we love it all.
The fans will see some changes this season. Some established players have left, some new ones have come in. There's a new kit, a new sponsor and a new name for the stadium back in Belfast, the Affidea Stadium. Here in Coleraine, there's a lot of work to do.
Obviously, it was a tough enough season for both players, staff and supporters last year, so I think the big thing is kind of building that energy back around Ulster Rugby, you know, getting the fans back on side, getting a bit of buzz around the change room, like people enjoying what we're doing out on the pitch.
After more than 10 years at Ulster, what are your hopes, what are your expectations for this season?
Something more positive than last season anyway. I think the roots are starting to show from pre-season there of some stuff we're trying to work on. Hopefully it goes into the season. I'd expect us hopefully make the playoffs and hopefully make a bit of a run in Challenge Cup. Personally, I'd love to get a good run injury free. Love to play for Ireland again. Still feel my body's in great shape, even though I'm getting old, as you told me. So no, I'd love to put a case forward to have another World Cup with me anyway.
Older, I think I said.
Yeah, you're saving yourself now.
In attack and defence, Ulster are preparing well. Mark Simpson, BBC Newsline in Coleraine.
Well, even if you are slightly older, you'll enjoy this because there will be some big names and lights when Emerge, the biggest electronic music festival on the island of Ireland, returns this weekend. Tens of thousands of fans are set to descend on Belfast for the festival, and Claire Graham has been to get a preview for BBC Newsline.
Emerge is promising to be a mix of techno and that big festival feel. On that stage behind me, Fatboy Slim will be here tomorrow night, but also over the weekend, Belfast DJ Mark Blair will be here. Mark, you've jetted in from Spain. What's it like to be playing back here in Belfast?
Absolutely incredible. The crowd here is, I've been lucky enough to play all over the world and nothing beats Belfast. The crowd energy, the atmosphere is absolutely insane. I love it.
And this is where it all began for you.
Yeah, I grew up here. I moved to Barcelona 3 years ago, and I'm actually returning back next month to live out my days in Belfast.
So for the crowds coming to see you in Belfast, what can they expect?
I've got lots of new music, I've got lots of private edits. I've been preparing this set all year, so yeah, it's going to be a special one.
And this is a huge production. Over the next couple of days, there are 2 tents. You can see the stage. Let's speak to Alan Sims, the promoter. Alan, some big names coming to Belfast. Were they hard to convince?
No, we're very persuasive. We've been, but seriously, we've been doing this quite some time. I dread to think how long. And you sort of build up a trust with a lot of the acts that you work with over a number of years. And as Mark quite rightly said, the audiences here are something that people always enjoy. This particular event, whilst it's only 4 years old, it's the sort of culmination of a lot of stuff that we've been doing on a big scale and even a small scale at club level with electronic music now for sort of decades. So it's great to be able to do something of this nature for the first time with sort of multiple stages and different music styles and sort of big festival headliners like Bicep and Fatboy Slim. So it is a little bit unique in that regard, but yeah, we're looking forward to a great weekend, and as long as it doesn't rain.
It's going to be a good weekend. Alan Sims, thank you very much. Good luck with all those last minute checks, and if you are one of the 50,000 who'll be here over the next 2 days, have a great time. Claire Graham, BBC Newsline at Emerge Festival in South Belfast.
Yeah, they'll be wondering about the weather. That's coming up in just a second. But in case you are wondering, we are on a little earlier this evening, and that's because the Women's Rugby World Cup is coming up here on BBC One next. And Thomas is here with the sport, and everybody is saying that this is going to be some kind of a game-changing tournament.
It's looking that way. It has all the ingredients to do exactly just that, Chris. But the good news is that the long wait, is almost over. The World Cup kicks off tonight as hosts England take on the United States of America at the Stadium of Light in Sunderland. A special 6 weeks or so ahead of us, and Ireland get their campaign underway on Sunday against Japan. Now, co-captain Adele McMahon has recovered from injury to start the Pool C opener. That's good news. Orla Bannon is in Northampton for BBC Newsline.
It's 8 years since the Ireland team last played on the big stage, but this is where a new journey begins. Franklin's Gardens in Northampton, where they'll aim to make a winning start to what they hope will be a memorable World Cup adventure. A welcome worth waiting for. Having failed to qualify for the last World Cup and finishing bottom of the Six Nations in 2023, this improving Irish team are soaking up every moment of this World Cup experience, and coach Scott Beeman says they're ready to go.
We've picked a squad that we feel is appropriate for getting the performance and the result out of this first game. It's really important to start, as you know, a World Cup in a positive manner.
Opponents Japan are ranked 11th in the world, 6 places below Ireland, but Beeman is expecting this to be a tricky start to the campaign.
They're a good team. They're disciplined. They're well organised. They've got a strong coaching group. So we're anticipating we'll see some stuff that we've not seen before. We know that we're going to have to get our best game. If we get our best game out there, the result will take care of itself.
Despite only having one survivor from their last World Cup appearance in 2017, Ireland co-captain Edel McMahon isn't concerned about the squad's lack of big game experience.
They've been at the biggest world stage that you can imagine in sport, so we definitely spoke about it in a group, but I don't really you just don't feel like it shakes this group, and it doesn't feel like it's a first World Cup for these girls. They take it in their strides for the youth that there is, and it's honestly it's just cool to see that headspace and that mentality that they have.
In-form wing Baveen Parsons could have a big impact at this tournament, and she's dreaming big.
I think the sky's the limit with this team. When we show our best and we put that on the world stage, I really think we can be world beaters. So yeah, we have no limits on this team. There is no ceilings. We just can't wait to get going.
Parsons and Ireland determined to lay down an early marker and deliver a checkmate to Japan on Sunday. Orla Bannon, BBC Newsline, Northampton.
Now, in local football, last night's clash between Linfield and Shelbourne delivered just a little bit of everything. There were 3 penalties, 1 red card and plenty of drama as the League of Ireland side defeated the Irish Premiership champions 3-1 in their first leg tie in Dublin. Now, there's big money on the line for both sides, just under £3 million, as both teams aim to qualify for the group stages of the UEFA Conference League. Here's Linfield boss David Healy.
We're on a strong yellow, if anything. But of course it changes the direction of the game, puts us on the back foot. We had actually started pretty well that time, but the referee seemed fit. I don't even think he gave himself time to even think. I think it was straight out. I'm sort of, I watch a lot of football worldwide, and sometimes the best referees, sometimes they give themselves a second, a moment. We went in at half time, we discussed about staying tight, staying together, closing distances, and then we conceded a really, really poor goal after 35 seconds in the second half. So now when we got the goal, Shells probably went on the back foot a little bit, and then we had the penalty. And potentially, I think, until maybe Chris Shields maybe went to let the referee know that Paddy Barrett had deliberately handed the ball, I think 2-3 yards out, that the referee wasn't going to sort of take any action. I think he was booked, but was it a deliberate stopping of a goal-scoring opportunity? Possibly, but we didn't capitalise on that, and that's the really disappointing thing tonight. Do I think we can score 2 goals at Windsor? Absolutely. We scored 1, potentially should have scored more against Shells the last time, and the last 2 European games against, albeit probably lesser opposition than what Shells are, and Zalgiris and Vikingur. We've won the game 2-0, so we'll settle for that again.
Now, this guy, Rory McIlroy, has been in action in his second round tie at the Tour Championship in Atlanta. The threat of bad weather in Georgia brought tee times forward by 4 hours. And the Masters champion, playing alongside world number 1 Scotty Scheffler, is in contention. Rory is 6 under par, 6 shots off the lead. Shane Lowry is 7 under par. Now, Portadown take on Larne tonight in the Irish Premiership. For Niall Curry's side, it's a 3rd game in 6 days, and the manager isn't too happy about having to take on a team made up of full-time professionals at the end of a busy week.
We're going to Larne for our 3rd game in 6 days. Now, I'm all for Friday night games, but certainly common sense has to prevail at some stage, surely. To ask part-time footballers to play 3 games in 6 days. Our guys will be sitting watching analysis videos all day, and my guys will come off the scaffolding roof and head to Larne on Friday night. But no, for me, I think certain circumstances need looked at, and for us to be playing on a Friday night with another 2-day turnaround is, I don't know, it's crazy stuff. But all we can do now really is rest them up and see who's available on Friday night. But you never know.
You can follow updates on the BBC Sport website this evening. Sports Sound and Radio Ulster tomorrow, and Derry City are in action tonight. They're away to Galway United. The game is live on BBC Radio Foyle from 7:30.
Thomas, thanks very much indeed. Now take a look at the weather picture tonight. It is starting to look like autumn, but we are hoping that the summer temperatures are going to remain for the bank holiday weekend. How's it looking, Cecilia?
You're right, we are beginning to see early signs of autumn. I saw my first conker last weekend. But this is also the last bank holiday of the summer, and overall it's not looking too bad. There will still be some warm weather around. Bit of a snag for Saturday, but I'll come back to that just shortly. So it's a generally cloudy picture tonight. Now, air moving in overnight from the west is going to be quite warm and humid. That means temperatures in many places will stay in the teens. It also means there could be a few patches of drizzle and quite misty, murky conditions over the hills and around the coast. So tomorrow, not too much in the way of sunshine, but many places will get away with a dry morning, especially in the east. There'll be lots of cloud though, minimal brightness, and the cloud will lower and thicken from the west to bring some patches of rain and drizzle. So if you are going to emerge, don't be surprised if there's a bit of wet weather around, but it will feel warm and muggy. Despite that cloud, temperatures up to 20 or 21 degrees. And that damp weather continues tomorrow evening. It'll be really murky and misty around the coast. By the end of the night, very warm again tomorrow night. Most of that damp weather will have moved on, and it will continue to move away on Sunday morning. That's when we start to see things brighten up from the Republic of Ireland. Sunnier skies moving northwards. Gentle southerly winds mean that temperatures up towards the north coast could well reach 22 or 23 degrees. What about Monday and next week? Well, this is what will be former Hurricane Erin. Now, it will bring wet and windy weather to Ireland and Britain, but hopefully not before Monday night. And following that, quite a significant change in our weather. It will become more unsettled. Bank holiday Monday, though, for most of us, including Ballycastle and the Lammas Fair, looks set fair. 20 degrees, maybe 22 degrees in places. Most of the day dry, but becoming increasingly blustery. And then we'll get that wet and windy weather coming in on Monday night, and that will change things to more unsettled conditions on Tuesday. So pretty good Sunday and Monday. Change for next week. A little bit of dampness around on Saturday. That's your forecast.
Cecilia, thank you very much indeed. Now, I should say, if you've just tuned in expecting to see the start of the programme, we were on a little earlier today because of the Rugby World Cup. But if you go onto the iPlayer, you can watch us right from the start, and we will have a late update here on BBC One at about 10:30. But for now, have yourself a very good bank holiday weekend. We'll see you soon.